when Bonds was going crazy and had the 73 home runs, the Giants were in town. So we were going to do a presentation on the field. You set it up. We had John Franco was still with the Mets. We had Richie Aurelia with the Giants. We had Matt Galante as the
Right.
third base coach of the Mets, all St. John's men. I got to drive Jack Kaiser and Lou Carnesecca
Yeah.
to Shea Stadium at that point in time. And ironically enough, I think Bill Clinton was in town. He wanted to watch Barry Bonds take batting practice. So you had your hands full
Right.
on a pregame setup. And Clinton comes out and Bonds is there. And the whole crowd is cheering Louis. I remember saying to
Yeah.
myself, wow,
Yeah.
Lou Carnesecca has more fans than Barry Bonds and Bill Clinton.
Jay Horwitz, special edition of Amazing Conversations with Ed Kull, the AD of St. John's Red Storm, on his return to his alma mater. Yesterday, found out, depending which poll, number 10 in the country or 12 in the country for the Red Storm basketball team. How did it make you feel, Ed?
Now it's exciting times here, Jay. The buzz is really it's everywhere on campus. It's obviously the media has been wonderful. The fan base is really excited. It's 8 in a row in the Big East, first time since 1992. The best start since 84, 85. I think it's the first time we've had a top 15 matchup of two teams at St. John's at this point in the season, and that goes back a bunch of years as well. So it's like every day's a new record, and the excitement's great, and I'm really happy for the university. Obviously, Father Shanley's aggressive hiring of Rick Pitino, and obviously a lot of our fan base who have helped support this team and invest in this program, and starting to really see a return on investment right now.
And with the changing landscape of college basketball, well, college sports, how important is to have a Hall of Fame coach like Rick Pitino handle your men's basketball program?
Jay, that we've had some obviously throughout the season. There's been some amazing moments. There's been some obviously slower halves than others. Maybe a slow start, better second half. It's almost like the confidence of having Rick Pitino, one of the greatest to do it. At halftime, you just know like he's going to make the adjustments, and they're gonna come out and play better, or that issue they're struggling with, whether it be defense or shooting, or their approach is going to change. And I've in my first 4 months on this job, my favorite thing to do is watch him in practice. It's like a scientist kind of dissecting the lab
Yeah.
and working the players. And he puts on the microphone so that everybody can hear him nice and clear in the gym. And it's a beautiful thing to watch him kind of break it down. And he's been doing it over 50 years, the highest of levels. And I think it's given like a credibility and a
Mm.
sustainability, not only to the players who believe in him, of course, but even our fan base, Jay, where it's like, this will be a tough game, or there's a little bit of quicksand, or they're a little concerned the shoe's going to drop. We don't have that right now. The
Yeah.
confidence is just so high, and I think that all plays to Rick Pitino and what he brings to the table.
And you know what? Me was a sign in to say program is really back. I'm an old fashioned guy. I read newspapers, 4 papers, and live it every day. With a guy like Mike Vaccaro, who to me is the best sports guy in New York, writes 3 or 4 columns about your basketball team in 2 weeks. You know you're in a good spot right now. Mike is great.
Mike Vaccaro's his article was phenomenal. And Mike is the salt of the earth. And even though he's a Bonaventure, St.
Yeah.
Bonnie's guy, he loves college hoops. And I loved his article about the Subway alum. As you know, Queens or New York City isn't necessarily a college town. It never will become a college town per se. But that fan base who loves basketball, and this is the mecca of basketball in Madison Square Garden, the Subway alum, the Subway fan of basketball has come out, and we're excited tonight. We're already over 15,000 tickets out, and the other night we basically had a sellout
Yeah.
versus Providence. So I think that fan base, like any savvy professional sports fan in this town, they know when it's good, they know when the product is there, and they know when to show up.
I want you to know, Ed, I think you know I'm not a front runner. I've been going to the games since 1981, 82. I've seen Wennington, Malik Sealy, Walter Berry, Mark Jackson. I actually became a St. John's fan because of Chris. Chris was a diehard Mets fan in the 80s.
Yeah.
I used to get him tickets all the time, and I started to go to alumni gym, to Met Louis, and I had do you ever go to Dante's when you were an
Of
undergrad?
course. Yes, I did. Yeah, that was coach's
Oh,
spot.
I love to go. Nothing like eating veal parmesan at 2 o'clock in the morning after a game, sitting with Ron Rutledge and Brian Mahoney. Those are good memories, though. But
That was the team pregame meal,
yeah,
and that was the coaching staff's postgame meal. Absolutely.
yeah, it was great catch with Brian the other day. But two quick Met stories related to in '85, April 1st, '85, the last St. John's Final Four, if I remember right. Cover the Sports Illustrated with St. John's, Villanova, Georgetown, North Carolina. There's also a Met story. The famous Sid Finch story debuted that time. That it was a bogus story that we had signed a 6'8" guy from Yugoslavia who played the flute, and I have that hanging up in my house with the St. John's and Sid Finch story on the cover. So we're tied with that realm and everything.
I love it. Listen, I know you're a big St. John's fan. I know you have been for quite a while, and you know my affinity and love for the New York Mets and love of baseball. But one of my favorite stories, Jen, I've even told you this, and I'll keep it brief. When I first started working here, this is my third tour of duty at St. John's. First time I was working here, probably 03, 04. And it was during when Bonds was going crazy. It had the 73 home runs. The Giants were in town, so we were going to do a presentation on the field. You set it up. We had John Franco was still with the Mets. We had Richie Aurelia with the Giants. We had Matt Galante as the
Right.
third base coach of the Mets, all St. John's men. I got to drive Jack Kaiser and Lou
Yeah.
Carnesecca to Shea Stadium at that point in time. And ironically enough, I think Bill Clinton was in town. He wanted to watch Barry Bonds take batting practice. So you had your hands full
Right.
on a pregame setup. And Clinton comes out and Bonds is there. And the whole crowd is cheering Louis. I remember saying to
Yeah.
myself, wow,
Yeah.
Lou Carnesecca has more fans than Barry Bonds and Bill Clinton.
And I used to get a calls. Louis used to love his St. John's guys, Viola, Franco, Joe Panik, Terry Bross. He used to call me every year on Yom Kippur to wish me a happy New Year, and they used to have every April 1st wish me a happy season. We even had to throw the first pitch out one day. How good is to have a guy like John Franco? Should be such a big booster of your program. Then where he goes, it's Mets and St. John's and Mets all the time.
He's the epitome of what a St. John's man is. You guys were together the other night for our
Right.
baseball banquet, our baseball bullpen dinner. Yourself, John, and Richie Aurelia and CJ Nikowski, right? Another short-term Met, but a New Yorker there at heart. And John represents everything that's wonderful about St. John's, everything that's wonderful about the New York Mets. But he's also just a true New
Yeah.
Yorker through and through. And his Brooklyn roots, his Staten Island roots. Now I know he resides in Manhattan. He represents everything that's New York. And whether it be the Met fans or the St. John's fans or those impacted by 9/11 and the role John played in
Yeah.
that, and obviously giving back and representing our city. John is everything that's wonderful about a blue collar family. His dad was a sanitation man. My dad was a sanitation man. I
Yeah.
always remember that as a
He used
kid.
to wear the red orange shirt under his
I
vest.
I
And
remember that. I
yeah.
remember that as a kid. I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool. My dad's a sanitation man. I'm gonna do the same thing," because John just represented New York, blue collar, lunch pail, and hard hat to work every day, living out every kid's dream, every New York kid's dream. That was John Franco.
Eddie, how do you portion your time? St. John said 17 sports. I went to the dinner, with the baseball team won the Big East last year. I come from a college background, went to NYU, FDU, all the sports. How do you portion what you do on a daily basis with all the different
Yeah,
sports?
I appreciate you asking that. It's often forgotten that we have other sports. Obviously, basketball is king, and the city gets excited about that. And obviously, the team's doing so well now. But you're right, right? So, baseball won the Big East championship. They made the tournament. They obviously have a few major leaguers in the major leagues right now. You just rattled off a bunch of former Mets who were St. John's baseball players. Uh, Men's soccer is our first national championship, New York City's first national championship in many years when they won it all in 96. Fencing has won some national championships and some gold medals in the Olympics. Volleyball is strong. Softball has been strong. So a lot of our programs have been so successful. Even women's basketball has had a tremendous run under Joe Tartamella. So you often try to make sure that we are paying respects and promoting those student athletes for everything else they're doing. Maybe they don't get the attention, nor sometimes the NCAA or the revenue conversation that's going on right now. But what they represent in terms of students who do it in the classroom, who do it on the playing surface. And then, of course, our Vincentian St. John's roots of giving back and service and doing their service in the schools and the soup kitchen. It really is a wonderful culture and environment we've built here.
You don't really have many off nights, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, if there's no basketball game, well, okay, Ed's got his night off. That's not the case at all. There's always something for you to do.
Yeah, there's definitely not a lot nights off until really the summertime when the students go home for summer break. But it's fun to try to mix up the other sports and spend time with our students. And being around the kids is the best part of the job for
I
sure.
like the way you did it at the other game, the Providence game. You honored the baseball team and in one of the timeouts. The kids got a lot of recognition in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, Madison Square Gardens, I think, was a special place for all of us, whether you play basketball, whether you ever played there or not. So our student athletes really get a kick out of coming out. That night was a sold out crowd to be able to be on the garden floor, get their championship rings, and celebrate in Manhattan the night of. So just a special situation. We even bring out our academic award winners. All of our GPA kids are 3.0 and above, and there's 300 of those. So it's great that we celebrate all of our students and use the garden as a platform.
And before we got to St. John's, you had a lot of great success at Fordham and fundraising. And with the changing college the landscape, how important is fundraising in your job now?
Yeah, it's everything now, Jay. And I say this tongue in cheek. It's always been looked at college athletics as a business. Now it surely is. And the NCAA has made that very clear in terms of NIL and the paying of student athletes or the endorsement deals of student athletes. Where in April, we're supposed to have an approval from this House settlement where revenue sharing will be made with our student athletes. And so now it's all about trying to find creative ways to generate revenue. And I got to say, Jay, it's not just soliciting money, whether that be fundraising or selling of tickets or trying to do creative things like collectible items or, naming rights. We're trying to do some different things of solar panels on our building or endorsement signs or cell phone towers, anything we can do to generate dollars. But it's also trying to engage more fans and get more alum back and involved and on campus. Trying to help the university in terms of promoting applications and enrollment. Try to get a bunch of as many young youth teams and CYO teams in the building. So that's the future attendee, a future student for St. John's University. So I look at the role very much in a return on investment. How do we make sure we're hitting all the priorities and pillars of the university and also being a source of school spirit and school pride? It's great seeing 18,000 people with the red t-shirts on and cheering for St. John's. That's not an easy thing to accomplish.
And did you have much of a relationship with Louis the time you were here? Did you get to know him? How much did you get to know him when you were here?
Yeah, I did. I was lucky enough. I wasn't here during any of his coaching days. I came in, my first year was 02, 03. And so I got to spend time with him in his office and do plenty of fundraising events and dinners and honorings. He was great in terms of his thoughts and feedback. I actually have 2 voice messages still on my cell phone, Jay, over the years that I just kept in terms of hearing his voice and positive feedback. And he was very much inspiring. I was probably closer to Jack Kaiser just because of the desire of working in administration and what he represented. Jack, really would have got a kick out of me being AD here at St. John's, and I wouldn't be here without him. So those 2 men, they dedicated their life to St. John's. They dedicated their life to the Big East and athletics. And both, we know this, could have had, bigger jobs or chased bigger paychecks, but that wasn't the kind of men they were. And I'm honored to be in the seat, paying tribute to Coach Carnesecca and Jack. And as sad as it's been that Coach Carnesecca passed away and just missed his 100th birthday a couple of weeks ago or last month, I feel honored that I was able to still be here to pay respects and pay the tribute and be a part of that process because nobody deserves it more than he did.
So I went to his last 3 birthday parties, 7, 8, and 9. And I bought him a Mets jersey every year. Louis 97, Louis 98.
Wow.
I already purchased Louis 100, so just a little bit short. You tweet. I tweet. I get into trouble with my tweets. I'm kind of crazy with my tweets, and sometimes I kind of get the people above me aggravated. But your tweets are more of an encouragement kind of stuff, right? When you tweet,
yeah, I definitely try to stay in the encouraging lane of positivity. To your point, promoting all of our sports or all the good updates that we have going on. Try to rally fans to come to events or come to games, or of course to give back and contribute. I'll get some tough ones where there's challenges of complaints, but that feedback is helpful in terms of making improvements or changes, or knowing what some of the issues may be, whether it be at a game or trying to buy certain merchandise, or just some feedback that fans maybe are having as a negative experience. We are in the customer service business, so I take that very seriously. I try not to give too many opinions. Not easy during games. Sometimes you're getting
Yes,
emotional or you're
yes.
getting fired up at the team, but try to really keep it positive, keep it very much work related. But I do enjoy the interaction. It's a fun way to communicate with our alumni and our fan base and our donor base a little bit more easily. So it's been helpful. It's been
One of my
helpful.
tweets almost got me fired real quick. We were in Colorado, and we passed a medical marijuana stores. I tweeted, "Have the flu, getting ready to buy some medical marijuana. They say it helps." I tweeted it with about 2 seconds after tweeting. I got a call back from one of my bosses. What are you doing, Jay? You were supposedly one of the leaders of this company. Right now, my tweets are very commonplace. One quick Brian Mahoney story I got to tell you.
Yeah.
We Bobby Bonilla was a big St. John's fan when he was here. He helped recruit Felipe Lopez. I was saw 3 or 4 Rice games. I don't know if that was legal or not at the time. I didn't want to get anybody in trouble, but Bobby loved the way Felipe Lopez played. And I remember I got the call from Brian and the staff one day. We got him. So I felt a little bit a part of getting Felipe Lopez to St. John. All the stuff he's doing afterwards is great. All the social stuff he's doing. He's doing a lot of good stuff in the community now, right, Eddie?
Yeah, Felipe is very active. He still works with the NBA in terms of NBA
Yeah.
Cares program. I believe he represents the Dominican Republic for the NBA,
Yeah.
and Felipe is their liaison and their ambassador there. And he comes back to campus quite often. And I know, I guess, like Bobby, they had the Bronx roots
Yeah.
originally, right, in terms
Yeah.
of growing up. And yeah, listen, I always say about Felipe, Felipe was LeBron James before LeBron
Right.
James, with that
Right.
Sports Illustrated cover and being the next amazing player. And Felipe had a tremendous career at St. John's. He had obviously a good NBA career too. Injury cut him short, but sometimes doesn't get the due that he deserves
Right.
in terms of being that pioneer. But yeah, Brian, obviously in that class, and even this past weekend, you notice we went back to some of the retro logos.
Right.
Those were the logos Felipe kind of introduced, and that's what he was wearing on the SI cover when St. John's went from Red Men to Red Storm. Yes.
One guy I used to eat at the table with my old friend Alabama, who after he left Fairleigh Dickinson was a part of Louis' coaching staff, and I used to enjoy him with Rutledge, and really great dinners. And Louis would come over. I'm not a great driver, Ed, so getting back at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm glad I don't. My driving don't do that anymore. But listen, I just want to wish you guys best of luck. I don't want to jinx anything. It's been a great season, 19 years, 19 wins. Top 10, top 12. So a lot more to do, and keep going and keep it going on. And thank you for your friendship and your courtesies.
Jay, it's my honor, my pleasure to be with you. Obviously, I've been a huge fan of your incredible work all these years. And obviously, you're a Hall of Famer and a legend. And what you mean as a Mets fan, I know it very well. And as a fellow Queens person here, obviously running things at St. John's and the Mets, I love that we have this synergy and this relationship. I know we're all excited for a great St. John's continued season. We're also excited for a great Mets
Well,
season.
hopefully,
I appreciate your friendship and I appreciate your
oh,
support.
always, Eddie. Hope to see you soon again. Good luck tonight.
Thank you so
All right,
much, Jay.
thanks,
We'll
Ed.
be in
Thanks,
touch.
thanks for your time, man. Bye.